Present yourself.
Young man Dwayne, Bon Yahweh, Bon Yashala.
Young man Dwayne, Bon Yahweh, Bon Yashala.
How about Shem Yahusha Brakathum?
How about Shem Yahusha Brakathum? Chest, extend your right hand. So keep that in your right hand. Yep, so here like that. And say, La Yasha'Allah.
La Yasha'Allah.
You go ahead and drink all of it. Good, brother. Uncover the scroll. Okay, just right here. Cover the scroll. And with that, I say Amaikum, which means to stand. Wapanyahakwodum, which means turn and face the east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer first in Hebrew. Repeat after me. Abanawa. Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Kadash.
Hayah.
Shemka. Yahweh. Malak with Ka. Baba'ah. Ratzayka. Hayah. I.S.U.P.K. Baratiza. Kawak. Hayah. Bashemayim. The thunder now. Lakam. Cow. Yawam. Wasalak now. Kabawaki now. Wasalaki now. Kabawaki now. Wala'ah. Kabi'ai now. Banasaya 1. Abal. Hawashai now. Mayan. Rad. Kaya. Lakab. Hamalakwa. Waha'ala. Watapar. Wa'alayamin. Aman. And in the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth. As it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it. We're going to say I cut the power. Yahweh. Ba'Hashem. Yahushai. Baba Kashar. Thunder now. Hakak. La'Pa'ah. Wakal Matawah. Latahar. Hamatazarayim. Hakak. Lahakli. Hakak. Arakawa. Hatama'Allah. Lagarishan. Ba'Hashem Yahushai. Kawad. And in the English, Yahweh. In the name of Yahushai. Please give us the power. The power to heal. All manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the leper. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it. We're going to say bless Israel. Yahweh. Ba'Hashem. Yahushai. Barakla now. Yasha'Allah. Wahabayat. Saparian. Barak. Rapah. Magun. Ba'Hashem Yahushai. Kawad. In the English, Yahweh. In the name of Yahushai. Bless us. And Israel. And the school. Bless. Heal. Shield. Protect our loved ones. In the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it. We're going to say Psalms 121. Asha'ah. Ayanya. Al-Hahari. Ma'ayan. Yaba'ah. Isaiah. Ma'ayin. Yahweh. I.S.U.P.K. Shemayim. Wa'aratiza. Ayathan. Lamawat. Regalka. Ayanawam,
Ayanawam,
Shamarka,
Shamarka,
Hana,
Hana,
La'ab,
La'ab,
Yanawam,
Yanawam,
Wala'ab,
Wala'ab,
Yayashun,
Yayashun,
Shawamar,
Shawamar,
Yasha'ala,
Yasha'ala,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Shamarka,
Shamarka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Tazalka,
Tazalka,
Al-Yad,
Al-Yad,
Yamyaka,
Yamyaka,
Yawamam,
Yawamam,
Hashamash,
Hashemash,
La'ab,
La'ab,
Yakaka,
Yakaka,
Wayarak,
Wayarak,
Balayala,
Balayala,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashamarka,
Yashamarka,
Makal-Rak,
Makal-Rak,
Yashamar,
Yashamar,
Athnapashka,
Athnapashka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashamar,
Yashamar,
Taza'athka,
Taza'athka,
Wabawa'athka,
Wabawa'athka,
Ma'aitha,
Ma'aitha,
Wa'ait Awalam,
Wa'ait Awalam,
Thawada Aman,
Thawada Aman. And in the English, I will lift up mine eyes into the hills.
I will lift up my eyes to the hills.
From whence cometh my help?
From whence cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh,
My help cometh from Yahweh,
which made heaven and earth.
which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee
He that keepeth thee
will not slumber.
will not slumber.
Behold,
Behold,
he that keepeth Israel
he that keepeth Israel
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee
Yahweh shall preserve thee
from all evil.
from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in
and thy coming in
from this time forth
from this time forth
and even forevermore.
and even forevermore.
So be it.
So be it. We want to say Psalms 83. Alahayim,
Alahayim,
Al-Damayalaka,
Al-Damayalaka,
Al-Thakarash,
Al-Thakarash,
Al-Thashakwat,
Al-Thashakwat,
Al-Kayahanna,
Kayahanna,
Al-Yabika,
Al-Yabika,
Yahama Yawan,
Yahaman,
Wamashanayaka,
Wamashanayaka,
Nasha'awa,
Nasha'awa,
Ra'ash,
Ra'ash,
Al-Imaka,
Al-Imaka,
Ya'arwayamwa,
Ya'arwayamwa.
So
why?
Where is the Ya'itas of what?
Why you got your itis or what?
Al-Tazapawanyaka,
Al-Tazapawanyaka,
Amarwa,
Amar,
Lakawa,
Lakawa,
Wanakakidam,
Wanakakida,
Magalia,
Magalia,
Wala'a,
Wala'a,
Yasakar,
Yasakar,
Shum Yasha'ala,
Shum Yasha'ala,
Iwad,
Iwad,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Noah Itas of what?
Noah itis or what?
La,
La,
Yakadwa,
Yakadwa,
Alyaka,
Alyaka,
Baryath,
Baryath,
Yakarathwa,
Yakarathwa,
Ahalia,
Ahalia,
Adawam,
Adawam,
Wayashma'alia,
Wayashma'alia,
Mawa'aba,
Mawa'aba,
Wahagarian,
Wahagarian,
Gabal,
Gabal,
Wa'aimawan,
Wa'aimawan,
Wa'aimalak,
Wa'aimalak,
Palashat,
Palashat,
I'm Yeshabia,
I'm Yeshabia,
Tazawar,
Tazawar,
Gum Ashawar,
Gum Ashawar,
Nalawat,
Nalawat,
Imam,
Imam,
Hayawat,
Hayawat,
Zarawat,
Zarawat,
Labunya Lawat,
Labunya Lawat,
Salat,
Salat,
Aishalaham,
Aishalaham,
Kamajin,
Kamadian,
Kasaya Sara'ah,
Kasaya Sara'ah,
Kayabian,
Kayabian,
Banakal,
Banakal,
Koyashawan,
Koyashwan,
Nashamadwa,
Nashamadwa,
Ba'ayan Da'arwa,
Ba'ayan Da'arwa,
Hayawat,
Hayawat,
Daman,
Daman,
La Adamat,
La Adamat,
Shayathamwa,
Shayathamwa,
Nadiyamawa,
Nadiyamawa,
Ka'ara,
Ka'ira,
Wakaza Abba,
Wakaza Abba,
Wakaza Bak,
Wakaza Bak,
Wakata Zalmanai,
Wakata Zalmanai,
Kalasaya Kamwa,
Kalasaya Kamwa,
Ashar,
Ashar,
Amarwa,
Amarwa,
Naya Rashad,
Naya Rashad,
Lanawat,
Lanawat,
Af, Na'awat,
Na'awat,
Alahayim,
Alahayim,
Alahaya,
Alahaya,
Shayathamwa,
Shayathamwa,
Kagagala,
Kagagala,
Kakwash,
Kakwash,
Lapunyaraka,
Lapanya Raka,
Ka'ash,
Ka'ash,
Zaba'ira Ya'ira,
Tabaira Ya'ira,
Wakala Haba,
Wakala Haba,
Salahat,
Salahat,
Haryam,
Haryam,
Khan,
Khan,
Thoradatma,
Thoradatma,
Basa Irika,
Basa Irika,
Wabasa Wapatka,
Wabasa Wapaka,
Sabahalam,
Tabahalam,
Mala'a,
Mala'a,
Panyaham,
Panyaham,
Kualawan,
Kualawan,
Wayabakwashua,
Wayabakwashua,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yabashua,
Yabashua,
Wayaba'awa,
Wayabahawa,
Aja'ai,
Ayai,
Wayakaparwa,
Wayakapawa,
Wayabadwa,
Wayabadwa,
Wayadaiwa,
Wayadaiwa,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Atha,
Atha,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Labadka,
Labadka,
Ayawan,
Ayawan,
Alka, Arataza,
Al-Ka, Al-Rataza,
the Wad Alman,
the water Aman. And in the English, Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still,
Be not still,
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult,
Thine enemies make a tumult,
and they that hate thee
and they that hate thee
have lifted up the head.
have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel
They have taken crafty counsel
against thy people,
against thy people,
and consulted against thy hidden
and
ones.
consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said,
They have said,
Come,
Come,
and let us cut them off
and let us cut them off
from being a nation,
from being a nation,
that the name of Israel
that the name of Israel
may be no more remembered.
may be no more remembrance.
For they have consulted together
For they have consulted together
with one consent.
with one consent.
They are confederate against thee,
They are confederate against thee,
the tabernacles of Edom,
the tabernacles of Edom,
and the Israelites,
and the Israelites
of Moab,
of Moab,
and the Hagarene,
and the Hagarene,
Gabal and Ammon,
Gabal and Ammon,
and Amalek,
and Amalek,
the Philistines,
the Philistines,
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
Asher also is joined with them.
Asher is also joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah,
Salah,
do unto them,
do unto them
as unto the Midianites,
as unto the Midianites,
as to Sisera,
as to Sisera,
as to Jabin,
as to Jabin,
at the brook of Kishon,
at the brook of Kishon,
which perished at Endor.
which perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like Oreb,
Make the nobles like Oreb,
and like Zaed,
and like Zaed.
yea,
Yea,
all their princes,
all their princes,
as Sabbath,
as Sabbath,
and as Zalmunna,
and as Zalmunna,
who said,
who said,
Let us take to ourselves
Let us take to ourselves
the houses of Yahweh in possession.
the houses of Yahweh in possession.
O my power,
O my power,
make them like a wheel,
make them like a wheel,
as the stubble before the wind,
as the stubble before the wind,
as the fire burneth a wood,
as the fire burning for wood,
and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
and as the flame sets the mountains on fire.
So persecute them
So persecute them
with thy tempest,
with thy tempest,
and make them afraid
and make them afraid
with thy storm.
with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame,
Fill their faces with shame,
that they may seek thy name.
that they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh,
O Yahweh,
let them be confounded
let them be confounded
and troubled forever.
and troubled forever.
Yea,
Yea,
let them be put to shame
let them be put to shame
and perish,
and perish,
that men may know
that men may know
that thou,
that thou,
whose name alone
whose name alone
is Yahweh,
is Yahweh,
art the most high
art the most high
over all the earth.
over all the earth.
So be it.
So be it. With that, I say sar, which means turn. Yeshabim, which means to be seated. Up here, Yeshabim, which means be seated. We're gonna pick up where we left off from last week. We are at where we at, Bakwash?
We are at 1 Kings chapter 3 and 26.
1 Kings chapter 3, verse 26. As it is our custom, because we are the people of the Bible, we are the Israelites, we always read the scriptures and the prayers in Hebrew first, because that is our original language. I always say this, for those of you that are tuning into the Sabbath service for the first time, you probably just watched us do this and like, oh, they're in the cult for real. And what is that satanic? What is that satanic babbling? When you don't understand that this is the Lord's language.
Most High.
You understand? When the Lord gives orders, he gives orders in this language. The Lord not up in heaven giving orders in English, in the oppressor's language, he's giving orders in this holy tongue. What in Hebrew is called the Lashawan Kodash. You understand? A separate language, a holy language. And that's the language of the people of the Bible, the real Jews, the Israelites. And what you're finding out is that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are coming back to their real culture found in the scriptures.
Right.
And that's what you're seeing happen right here. That's what you've seen in Houston, Texas. Get the Lord's Passover name. You understand? We had the Sabbath service in Houston, Texas, and it was so glorious, man. It was so glorious to see all those brothers lined up holding these scrolls right here. And holding these scrolls, and all the brothers across the nation came in one accord to adhere to our ancient culture that our mothers and fathers did before us. Like, this is not a light thing we're doing right here, man. Like, everybody reads the Bible, I'm like, man, I want to be like them. When the people in the I.S.U.P.K, us in this room right now, we are the people in this book, back in the earth. All the way down to the little baby, all the way down to the old man. We are the people in this book, literally, back in the earth, in a sense. So it's not a light thing. And what you just seen us do was recite the prayers in Hebrew.
So now what we're going to do is read the scriptures in the Hebrew. You understand? Because that's our custom. And then afterwards, we're going to translate it into the English, right? So we are at, what that boy say, Baba Bashar?
2 Kings chapter 3, verse 26.
The water warrior. 2 Kings chapter 3, verse 26. Wayara'ah, Malak, Mawa'aba, Kaya, Kazak, Mama Nawa, Hamalakma, Wayakwak, Awathwa, Shabbat, Ma'awath, Ayash, Shalak, Korah, Lahab Koyai, Malak, Adawam, Wala'ah, La Kalawa, verse 27, Wayakwak, Banawa, Habakawal, Ashar, Yamalak, Thakathua, Waya'al Allah, Hakama, Wayahaya, Kwatazak, Garawal, Yasha Allah, Wayasaiwa, Ma'alyawa, Wayashabak, Wayashabwa, La Arataza. 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 1. Wa'asha, Akath, Manashah, Manashaya, Banaya, Hanaslaki, Hanabayaya, Tasa Aikwa, Ala Yashai, La Amar, Ibadak, Ibadka, Ayashya, Math, Wa'atha, Yada Slaki, Yada Slaki, Yadai, Kaya, Ibadka, Haya, Yara, Yahweh, Wahannasha, Ba'a, Lakwaka, Shania, Shanya, Yaladia, Lawa, La Ibadium. Verse 2. Waya Amal, Aliyah, Aliyah, Aliyashah, Ma, Ayashah, Laka, Hagayadya, Laya, Ma, Yasha, Lakaya, Babaya, Watha Amal, Ayan, La Shapaktha, Ka, Babayath, Kaya, Asawaka, Shaman, verse 3, Waya Amal, Lakaya, Sha'alya, Laka, Kalaya, Man, Ha Kawataza, Ma'ath, Ka, Shakanakia, Kalyam, Requiem, Raquayam, Sama'ay Yataya, verse 4, Waba'ath, Wasagarath, Hadalath, Ba'aika, Waba'ai, Banaya, Wayatazakwath, Ka, Hakalyam, Ha'ala, Wahamala'a, Tasayaya, verse 5, Wathalak, Ma'athawa, Wathasagar, Hadalath, Ba'ida, Waba'ai, Banaya, Hum, Magashayim, Alya, Wahaya, Mayataza Quath, verse 6. Most High Christ. Now we're going to read it in the English. We are at 2 Kings chapter 4, Chapter 3, verse 26. Wow. Chapter 3, verse 26. If you could, brother.
2 Kings, chapter 3, verse 26. And when the king of Moab saw that the battle was too sore for him, he took with him 700 men that drew swords to break through even unto the king of Edom, but they could not. Verse 27.
Right.
Then he took his eldest son that should have reigned in his stead and offered him a burnt offering upon the wall.
So you stop. You turn it up. So everybody make sure your phones is on vibrate or silent. Baba Kushar. I'm about to turn mine off too. Make sure that's silent or vibrate. Hold on 1 second. Where we at?
Salaki. Verse 27. Then he took his eldest son that should have reigned in his stead and offered him for a burnt offering upon the wall. And there was a great indignation against Israel. And they departed from him and returned to their own land.
So what's happening here is now Israel is going to war against Moab. You understand? Moab in the Bible is the so-called Chinese today. If you didn't know, every race of people today, the name that they are called is not their original name. You know how you know? What are we called? African American, Negroes, colored. When we know, according to the Bible, we are the nation of Israel. What is the so-called oppressor called? The white man. Well, he's not white. He's not. A white is a color. You understand? The Bible calls him red. If you ever seen a Caucasian baby born, they are born red, pink. You understand? Their name, according to the Bible, is the nation of Edom, of Esau, the Edomites. Every race of people has a biblical name, which is their forefather, who they come from. And right here, the Moab is the forefather of the so-called Chinese. And just like today, we were beefing with the Chinese still. You understand? That's why, for the life of me, I can't understand how any black, Hispanic, or Native American that lives in America that has some type of sense and watches TV and lives in the ghetto can possibly side with that hashtag Stop Asian Hate, when the Asians have always hated black people. Right. You could be the #1 customer in an Asian beauty supply store. You can go there and every weekend and get them the money and go to the salon. And the moment you come up short, that goes out the window. You understand? Because they don't give a damn about you. They take your money. They're happy to take your money. And even then, sometimes they don't want your money. That's how much they hate you. They'd just rather you get the hell out their shop. Hurry up and buy. Well, guess what? That's nothing new. The Asians couldn't stand us back then. You understand? And we couldn't stand them back then. Back when we had our own nation, understood that we have enemies. And the Asians are our enemies the same way the Africans are our enemies. The same way the Arabs and East Indians are our enemies. The same way the so-called white man is our enemy. You understand? We're looking at our own people as enemies when we are the only thing that we have. You understand? Keep reading.
2 Kings chapter 4, verse 1. Now they cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons, saying of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, Thy servant, my husband, is dead, and thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord, and the creditor is come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondsmen. Verse 2, and Elisha said unto her, What shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in the house? And she said, Thine handmaid had not anything in the house save a pot of oil. This is how you know the Bible is the black man's book. What's the saying that we say in the black community when you poor? When you so poor, you say, I don't even have a pot to. Go ahead, Quash.
Pot to piss in.
A pot to piss in. Excuse my language. That's an old saying that a lot of us say in the black community. I'm so poor, I ain't got a pot to piss in. And this sister just said, she don't have nothing but a pot of oil. You understand? Like, you can see how our culture what we do is parallel to this, to the Bible, because you never understood that we are the people that is mentioned all throughout the scriptures. You understand? And this woman was so poor her husband was a servant of the Lord and he died, you understand? But he owed money. And so because he owed money, the creditor came to take her sons as bondmen, meaning as servants. You understand? Just like today, if you don't pay on that car, who come and to get that car? The tow truck. You got to look all out your window every hour, make sure the car's still there. You hide in the car in the garage in odd places so they can't come take it. This is nothing new. You understand? You owe money. Somebody's coming to get that debt that you owe. And at this time, you had to serve in servitude if you owed money. Just like old school in a restaurant and back in the days, if you couldn't pay for your tab, what you had to do? Wash the dishes. Now that Junior Muhammad broke down, now they'll just call the police on you. You understand? But back when we had our own restaurants, when we went and you know what I'm saying, and TT and them was in the kitchen and they was cooking and you couldn't pay that tab, no sweat, baby. You give this apron. You come back here and you're gonna work that bill off. That's what you're gonna do. Because that's how we always settle things. This is our culture right here. But the oppressor, him being such a greedy bastard, he has made it where he'll lock you up. He'll put you in jail if you can't pay a bill. There are black men in prison right now because they can't pay child support. There are black women in jail right now in certain states because they can't pay credit card bills. I think Virginia is one of them states where they'll take you to court if you owe money. They'll sue you. And if not, they'll try to put some charges on you. Like this society is so deviant. And that's why God is going to destroy America. Because America is built on hatred for the poor. And guess who just so happens to be the poor? Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. America is built on our suffering and destruction. You understand? And when we had our own nation, we had compassion even when people owed you money. You understand? Let's keep reading.
Come. Verse 3. Then he said, go, borrow these vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, even empty vessels. Borrow not a few. Verse 4. And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. Verse 5. So she went from him and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured out.
Right. No sign of Christ. Up here, Imagine, which means to stand. Young man Casio, present yourself. So what you do is come to Imagine first, and then Imagine Shabbat. And you'll say your name. No, you stay in Imagine Shabbat. You'll say your name. So young man Casio.
Young man Casio.
What tribe are you?
Judah.
Judah. So you'll say young man Casio, Bun Yahawada.
Young man Casio, Ban Yahawada.
Bun Yasha'ala.
Ban Yasha'ala.
Young man Casio, Bun Yahawada, Bun Yasha'ala. And now what you just said was your name. It's always been our custom in Israel to state your registry. You understand? You read the scriptures where these staffs right here were not just for show. These staffs were, if a heathen came up in here and we found out when you stated your registry, something didn't add up, that you were an Israelite, you can imagine what these staffs were for. You understand? It wasn't for show. You understand? That's how vigilant we were in maintaining the integrity of what the Lord gave us. You understand? Of course, now, if a heathen end up sneaking them in here, you know, we ain't going to beat them to death. They're going to get the hell out of here. But I've never seen that happen in here. You understand? Because brothers do their due diligence where heathens don't make it in here. You understand? But that's what we're doing, our age-old customs. Right? So after you state your registry, you'll come back to Imagine, and then you'll Barak, and then you'll salute.
Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah Barakatah.
Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah Barakatah. Go ahead, brother. Well, and when there's multiple brothers, you say Barakatah. Yep, absolutely. Good work. Good work too, young man. Go ahead. All right, up here, Yeshabim, which means be seated. We're going to pick up where we left off. We are at 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 6. We're going to read it in the Hebrew first. Wayahaya. Wayahaya. Kamala'af. Hakalayam. Watha Amal. Bana. Hagayasha, Al-Ya, I.Y, Kalaya, Waya Amar, Ali, Al-Ya, Alaya, Ayan, I.Y, Kalaya, Waya Amar, Hashaman, verse 7, Wathaba'a, Wathagad, La Ayash, Ha-Alahayim, Waya Amar, Lakaya, Makaria, Hashaman, Washalamya, Nashakayaka, Nashayakya, Wa'ath, Banayaka, Banayaka, Banayakaya, Takaya, Banawathar, verse 8, Wayahaya, Hayawam, Waya Ibal, Al Yashai, Shawaman, Washam, Asha, Gadawala, Wathakazak, Bawa, La'akal, Lakam, Wayahaya, Madaya, Ibarwa, Yasar, Shema, La'akal, Lakam, verse 9, Watha Amar, Ayasha, Hana, Na'a, Yeda'ithia, Kaya, Ayash, Al-Yaham, Alahayim, Kodawam, Hawa'a, Ibar, Ayan, Al-Yanawa, Samyad, verse 10, Na'aisha, Na'a, Alayath, Koyal, Kwatana, Wanashayam, Lawa, Sham, Mata, Washalakan, Wakasa'awa, Kasa'a, Wamanan Nawar, Wahaya, Baba Awa, Alayanawa, Yasawar, Shema, verse 11, Wayahaya, Hayawam, Wayaba'a, Shema, Wayasawar, Wayasar, Ha'ai Laya, Wayasakar, Shema, verse 12, Wayamar, Gakazaya, Na'ai-Rawa, Kwara'a, Lashawana Maya, Haza'ath, Wakura'a, Laha, Watha Imad, Lapanyawa, verse 13, Mosiah Christ. Now we're going to read it in the English. We are at 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 6. Do it, brother. Nice and loud.
2 Kings chapter 4, verse 6. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, and she said unto her son, Bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, There is not a vessel more. And the oil stayed. Verse 7. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, Go, sell the oil, and pay thy debt, and live thou and thy children of the rest. Verse 8. And it fell on a day that Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was that as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread.
Thither is Old English for there. When you hear hither and thither, that's here and there. And also, too, just to break down what we read before, we read about how this sister owed money, and who did she turn to help her pay off her debt? If anybody was paying attention, who did she go to? Quash? Go ahead, sis.
I was going to say the man of God.
A man of God first. And what did that man of God tell her to go to?
Her neighbors.
Her neighbors, man. That's the type of people that we're supposed to be. She was wise enough to know I have a problem. I'm not gonna go to my homegirls. I'm not gonna go to people that's not gonna help the situation. I'm gonna go to a man of God, a prophet. And that prophet told her, go to your neighbors. Yeah, remember, at this time, our neighbors aren't some stinking Chinese man or some white man because you didn't move into the suburbs trying to escape your people. Our neighbors is fellow blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's right. You understand? Because we are living amongst our people. And this man of God told her, go to your people. And she was able to go to her neighbors and pay off her goddamn debt because everybody gave her a little bit of what they had. Like, this is the type of people that we are supposed to be. If we live like this, there is no way other nations of people can come into our neighborhoods and take our money and then take it back and build up their communities. There's no way that we have to suffer abuse and mistreatment from a people that hate us just to get goods and services. The Bible has the blueprint to end our suffering. The Bible has the blueprint to end our oppression. The Bible has the economic plan. Everybody want to talk about we need economics, the powernomics and all that garbage. It sounds good, but without a moral code, it means nothing to have all the money in the world. Black people have money. You know how I know? Because we making the Chinese rich buying all those stinking Jordans. We making everybody, the white man rich buying all that weed. I couldn't tell you, man. I think the Most High, I was in the truth when them stimulus checks hit. Because I could imagine if I was in the world, that would have been the OD. That would have been the straw that broke the camel's back. $1,200, all of that was going to drugs if I was in the world. You understand? Like, we have the resources to do things. The problem is because we don't have a moral code according to the Bible, we don't love our people enough to pull together our resources and to get things done. You see what we did in Texas? Like, we had an entire ranch in Texas where we did things that many of us never seen before in our lives. Like, how many of y'all been to a black function, a strictly black function for one, and then there was no fights, nobody stole anything. You understand? You didn't have to worry about your child being missing. Right. None of that. Like, this is the only time this happens because this is what the Lord always intended for our people. So now, go ahead, McQuash.
Even with that, the flex, most of us ain't even see a kangaroo up close. There's a damn kangaroo right there.
A lot of you didn't even know it. The kangaroo was at the damn ranch. You understand? Like, because we came together, when we stayed together in the UPK, in the spirit of brotherhood, whatever Commander General YAHANNA decides to do for this nation, it's going to get done. Because there is a damn near unlimited amount of resources with the brotherhood and sisterhood. You understand? Like, people think we nothing but bums in here. When you got brothers and sisters that got degrees and Fortune 500 jobs and slaves and making all this bread. And listen, if a brother in here don't have it, he has it. You understand? The same way the people in here that do have it, they have it as well. Like, we all bring something to the table and we all benefit from each other. And that's what the Lord intended. You understand? All together, we are a force to be reckoned with. And that's why our oppressor has made it his job to make sure that we hate each other. I don't understand this new, it's not new, but it's a rising trend. If I don't know if y'all know, but it's black men against black women. Even that Kevin, I got to mention him real fast. Even that Kevin Samuels cat. You understand? If you don't know who Kevin Samuels is, he's some cat. He gives advice to women, and the things that he says is true. But if you have two eyes in your head, anybody can see he's clearly a homosexual. You understand? And that's the problem. He's telling women the truth with malicious intent. Like, he's not telling these women the truth because he loves them and he wants them to change. He's telling them the truth to hurt them. And there's a difference. It's in here. If a brother calls you a bitch, sis, if your husband calls you a bitch, sis, he loves you. I'm trying to tell you straight up and down. And he's calling you that so that you don't be that.
Right.
You understand? There's a difference.
Right.
The oppressor has made it to where we're divided on all fronts. Young versus old, this state versus this state, this city versus this city, this side of this city versus this side of the other city, gangs, old versus young, men versus women, generation versus generation. Like, we so divided, and that's not by chance. That's on purpose. Because the moment that we can come together the way we did in Houston, Texas, we could do anything. If the Lord gave the order to take over that city, the Lord would have been with us to take over that city. Of course, that's not going to happen until Christ comes. You understand? But if the Lord wanted it, that's what it would have been. You understand? We're stronger together. That's what the Bible's trying to tell us. We are stronger together. Keep reading.
2 Kings chapter 4, verse 9. And she said unto her husband, Behold now, I perceive that this is a holy man of God, which passeth by us continually. Verse 10. Let us make a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set for him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be, when he cometh to us, that he shall turn in thither.
You hear this? This man of God, this sister perceived that this brother was a man of God. And what did she do for him? She made all the arrangements to make sure that when he came to where she was, to her city, he had somewhere to stay and something to eat, man. This is age-old Israelite custom. You understand? You go down south, Texas, they was the same way. We flew in trying to get our Airbnb and hotel arrangements straight, and we stayed at the brother's Officer Gobble Ward. Get that brother a hand, you understand? Officer Gobble Ward out in Houston, Texas, opened up his damn house. He wasn't even at the house. His rib was just there, but we didn't turn his house into the school. You understand? And we had something to eat. You know what I'm saying? We was able to wash up our kids. Like, this is what the Lord always intended. And this is the spirit of our people. The oppressor has gotten us to follow after his deviant culture, and now we don't even speak to our neighbors. You understand? Most of us try to avoid our neighbor. No, really got that bad. She tried to hurry and run in. She'll sit in her truck and wait for the neighbors to go inside the house so she can run in since she don't want to talk to nobody. I was like, is this what we come to? Is this what it's come to? Like, God damn, just say hey to the sister and walk in. But we've got to the point where we don't even want to deal with each other. And it's sad. It's so sad because the Lord wants us, and it's absolutely necessary for us to deal with each other. We have to. That's the only way this kingdom is going to fall. It's not going to fall from us faking the funk and hiding from each other and avoiding dealing with each other. We have to deal with each other. That's why there's rules in the Bible on what to do if you're offended. Because the Lord says he understands that these people dealing with each other, offenses are going to come. That's why there's rules on what you are to do when somebody offends you. But you're not to avoid your people. You can't run from dealing with your people. You can't run to the oppressor and live amongst his people and think everything is going to be okay. You understand? We tried it, and guess what's happening? Brothers joining the military, and they finding out still nigga. Black people moved into white neighborhoods and finding out still nigga. Black people getting all these high-paying jobs, and guess what they find out? Still nigga. You cannot run from who the Lord called you to be. You understand? You might as well come in here and enjoy the benefits of being an Israelite, or stay in the world and reap the curses that come with being an Israelite. You understand? Keep reading.
Verse 11. And it fell on a day that he came thither, and he turned into the chamber and lay there. Verse 12. And he said to Gehazi, his servant, call this Shunammite. And when he had called her, she stood before him.
That's it. No sign of Christ. Up here, Abijah, which means to stand. Young man Dwayne, present yourself. So put Abijah first, your feet together. It's like your feet together. And then go to I.S.U.P.K.
Young man Dwayne, Yahweh, Ban Yahweh, Ban Yashala.
Young man Dwayne, Ban Yahweh, Ban Yashala.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah. Up here, Yeshabim, which means be seated. And you could before I should take the first three Bob counts.
2 Kings chapter 4, verse 13. Waya Amar, Lawa, Amar, Na'ah, Alia, Hana, Karadath, Ayanawa, Kal, Ha Karadath, Ha Hazaath, Maha, La'ai Shawath, Laka, Hayash, Ladabar, Laka, Al, Hamalak, Awa, Al, Shar, Ha to Zaba'ah, Watha Amar, Bathawaka, Anya, Anakia, Yashabath, verse 14. Wayamar, Wama, La'aishawath, Laha, Wayamar, Gayakazaya, Abal, Ban, Ayan, Laha, Wa Ayash, Zakwana, verse 15. Wayamar, Kwa Ra'a, Laha, Wayak Ra'a, Laha, Watha Amad, Bapathka, Bapathak, verse 16. Verse 16. Wayamar, Lamawad, Hazah, Ka'itha, Kaya, Athia, Bakatha, Bakatha, Ban, Watha Mar, Al, Adanya, Ayash, Alahayim, Al, the Kazab, Basha Slakia, Basha Pak Thaka, verse 17.
I got 17. Is that three? You did three?
Concert.
No, two. Slakia, verse 17. Wathahar, Ha'asha, Wathalad, Bun, Lamawa'ai, Hazah, Ka'ith, Kaya, Ashar, Dabar, Aliyah, Aliyashai. Verse 18. Wayagadal, Hayalad, Haya, slightly. Wayahaya, Hayawam, Wayataza'a, Abayawa, Hakwatazarium. Verse 19. Waya Amal, Abayawa, Ra'ashaya, Waya Amal, Hana'ai, Hana'ira, Sha'ahawa, Amal, verse 20. That's Mosiah Christ. All right, now we're going to read it in the English. We are at, who we at?
We're at 2 Kings 4 and 13, sir.
We at 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 13.
2 Kings chapter 4, verse 13. And he said unto him, say now unto her, behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care. What is to be done for thee? Wouldest thou be spoken for to the king or to the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among mine own people, Verse 14. And he said, what then is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, verily, she hath no child, and her husband is old. Verse 15. And he said, call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door. Verse 16. And he said, about this season, according to the time of life, thou shalt embrace a son. And she said, nay, my Lord, thou man of God, do not lie unto thine handmaid.
This sister is hearing the man of the Lord give her a prophecy and what's to happen. She know she doesn't have a child. Her husband is old, and he telling her, well, listen, this time next year you're going to be embracing a son. And she like, no, don't lie to me, sir. So like I said, don't do that, sir. Don't lie to me. Don't get my hopes up. You understand? Which shows that when you get counsel from a brother, a prophet in here, you may not be able to see it because you lack faith, but you should just take the damn counsel. You understand? A lot of times the counsel don't work is because you failed to make it work. But this brother's giving you this counsel, and you follow through with it, it's going to work. You understand? And this sister couldn't understand that because she lacked faith at that time. Keep reading.
Like I don't know the exact verse, but in Genesis, when Abraham was told that he would have a son, and Sarai laughed,
The water.
that's kind of the same right there.
That's exactly what's going on. When Sarah in Genesis was told that she was going to have a son, she lacked faith. And what did she go do? She went and got some heathen handmaid to have the child for Abraham. And that's why that child wasn't called by the Lord. You understand? Because the Lord doesn't bring his prophets, you understand, through some heathen. You understand? So that's why she didn't have faith. Instead of waiting, like the Lord told her, like, you're going to bear a son. She didn't believe it. So she went and got her Egyptian handmaid to have a son, whose name was Ishmael. And then eventually Sarah had Isaac. And that's why the Lord said, through Isaac is who my covenant shall come through. I didn't choose Ishmael. I don't know what the hell what you did right there. I didn't choose that. I didn't want it that way. Through Isaac is who my covenant is going to come through. You understand? Keep reading.
Verse 17. And the woman conceived and bare a son at the season that Elisha had said unto her, according to the time of life. Verse 18. And when the child was grown, it fell on the day that he went out to his father to the reapers. Verse 19. And he said unto his father, my head, my head. And he said to a lad, carry him to his mother.
That's it. Most side Christ had margin, which means to stand. Barack, can get you real quick? No, it's a lot here. Young man Casio, present yourself. Yes, I called you first, right? No. Yeah.
Young man Casio, Ban Yahawada, Ban Yasharala.
Young man Casio, Ban Yahawada, Ban Yasharala. Margin. From that, Barack.
Yahweh Ba Hashem Yahushua Barakatham.
Yahweh Ba Hashem Yahushua Barakatham. Up here, Yashabi, which means be seated. We are at
2 Kings chapter 4, verse 20, sir.
verse 20. I'm going to read the first four questions.
Khan Khan.
2 Kings chapter 4, verse 20. Why you Hawa? Why you Yab ya Ahawa? Ah. I'm a what? Why you Shah? Ah. Barakia. I. Hatazaharium. Wayamath, verse 21. Watha Al. Watha Shakab Al. Matath. Ayash. Ha Alahayim. Watha Sagar. Ba'idwa. Watat Wa Thataza'a, verse 22. Wathakwara'a, Ayasha, Watha Amal, Shalaka, Na'a, Laya, Akkad, Man, Hana-Iriam, Wa'akath, Ha'athanuwath, Wa'arataza, Wa'arawataza, Ayash, Ha'alahayim, Wa'ashawabi, Wa'ashawaba, verse 23. Wa'ya'amal, Madawa'ai, Athia, Halakathia, Alyua, Hayawam, La'a, Kadash, Wala'a, Shabbath, Watha Amal, Shalawam.
Verse 24. What's a Gabash? Ha-athawan. Ha-athawana. What's a Mar? La'a. Salakia. Al. Na'ira. Nahaga. Walak. Salakia. Skip forward. Ha Shawanayim. Salakia. Ha Washanam Yatha. Halaza. Verse 26. Aitha. Rawataza. Na'a. Laka Ra'ah. Naka Ra'atha. Wa'amar. Laha. Hashalawam. Salakia. Ha Shalom. Laka. Ha Shalom. La'aya. La'a Yashak. Ha Shalom. Laya Lada. Watha Amar. Shalom. Verse 27. Watha Ba. Al. Ayash.
That's it. You done 26.
Sorry, Christ. Good work.
Now we're going to read it in the English. We have 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 20.
2 Kings chapter 4, verse 20. And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon, and then died. Verse 21. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door upon him, and went out. And she called unto her husband and said, Send me, I pray thee, one of the young men and one of the asses, that I may run to the man of God and come again. And he said, Wherefore wilt thou go to him today? Is it neither new moon nor Sabbath? And she said, It shall be well. Then she saddled an ass and said to her servant, Drive, go forward, slack not thy riding for me, except I bid thee. So she went and came into the man of God to Mount Carmel. And it came to pass, when the man of God saw her afar off, that he said to Gehazi, his servant, Behold, yonder is that Shunammite. Run now, I pray thee, to meet her, and say unto her, Is it well with thee? Is it well with thy husband? Is it well with the child? And she answered, It is well.
So right here what's going on is this woman, she had this son, and he died. And so now she's going to inquire of the prophet and said, I'm going to pick up the next brother up here. Imagine with me to stand. Barack, present yourself.
Barak Banya Howard Banya Sha'ala.
Barak Banya Howard Banya Sha'ala.
Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah Barakatham.
Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah Barakatham. Yeshabim, which means Messiah. We had 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 27. Also, too, let's give the sisters a hand for bringing in the food. Those times, understand, while you at home being some bitch, some loudmouth bitch, these sisters coming in here being women that the Lord ordained. You understand? Like sisters in here really showed their worth in Houston. I was amazed at the things I was seeing sisters. Listen, I'm in the car. I'm hearing sisters getting called. I thought, you know, it's a brother on the phone where they getting orders and following orders. I'm like, damn, these sisters in here hardcore. While you in the world thinking you some strong, independent broad, sisters in here really show their strongness, man. They really show their strength and value. You understand? You can be one of these great sisters too. Or you can be that thing that your man is avoiding. You understand? He going to see the other sweet thing because you are just miserable and unpleasant to be around. And you don't have to be. You understand? Brothers too. While you at home being a coward and some punk, halfway gay, you understand? You can come in here and be a man, man. You can stand for your people. You don't have to be disgusting all your damn life. I know because we were once on the other side disgusting too.
That's right.
We were once cowards and punks and whores and bitches too. And then we came in here and said, you know what? This is not the life for me. I think my life is worth more than what I'm living now. And that's what we did. We came in here and changed and started to live for the Lord. You can do the same thing, man. Also, too, if you're watching, make sure you are eating unleavened bread every day and up till tomorrow. The feast of unleavened bread is tomorrow. You understand? There should be no yeast or leaven in your house still. You understand? You should be eating a piece of unleavened bread every day. That's what we're doing right now. The sisters made, we got 4 different variations of unleavened bread. It's delicious. I'm eating all of them too. I brought my little workout shake, my little meal replacement thinking I'm gonna get in shape. And I'm like, I guess not. I guess the Lord had other plans. So I'm eating all this bread. You understand? It's like, of course.
Like, if I could, just add on to what you're saying about the sisters. The sisters doing this every week consistently without fail. Without fail, they are some of the, all the sisters in the UPK are just consistent with what the scriptures is telling, showing us how the sisters should be. And once again, I just have to give it up for the sisters. For being consistent in the school and helping us do what the Lord called us to do.
That's right. Listen, you see Quad setting y'all up. He making it where if y'all miss a week, y'all make y'all feel bad. Quad setting, he hitting y'all with the setup. And they consistent. The sisters do this every week. He's setting them up. I see you, Quad. I gotta take notes from you on that one. Let's go ahead and read. We have 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 27.
Verse 27. With Ayash, Lahayim, Hahar, Watha, Kazak, Baragal, Yawuk, Waya Gash, Gayak, Zaya, Lahad, Pa, Waya Amal, Ayash, Ha'al, Ahayim, Haragad, La, Kaya, Napash, Napasha, Mara, La, Yahweh, Ha'ai, La Yum, Mama Naya, Wala'ar, Hagayah, La Ya, verse 28, Watha Amal, Hasha'al, Lafia, Bun, Ma'af, Adanya, Hala'ah, Amarafia, La'ar, Tashalah, Athia, verse 29, Waya Amal, Lagad, Yakazaya, Kagar, Mathanayak, Wakaka, Masha'ai, Nathia, Bayadak, Walak, Kaya, Thamataza, Ayash, La'a, Thabarak, Noah, Wakaya, Yabaraka, Ayash, La'a, the Ain Nawa, Washamath, Masha'ain Nathia, Ar, Punya, Hana, Ira, verse 30, with a Amar, Amma, Hana, Ira, Kaya, Yahweh, Wakaya, Napashak, Amma, I.S.U.P.K, Wayakam, Wayalak, Akarya, verse 31, Waga Kazak, Ibar, Lapun Yaham, Wayasham, Af, Hamash, Anath, Ar, Punya, Hana Ira, Wa'ayan, Kawal, Wa'ayan, Kashar, Wayashar, Ika, Lakar, Athwa, Wayagad, Yawa, La'amar, La'a, Haka, Yataza, Hanara, verse 32, Wayaba'a, Aliyashai, Habayath, Wahan, Hanara, Matha, Mashakar, Ar, Matatathwa, verse 33, Wayaba'a, Waya Sagar, Hadalath, Ba'ai, Shanayaham, Wayath, Pala, Ar, Yahweh.
That's it. Most High Christ. Now in the English, we are 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 27.
Verse 27.
Mm-hmm.
And when she came to the man of God to the hill, she caught him by And when she came to the man of God to the hill, she caught him by the feet, by Gehazi.
But
Gehazi came near to trust. But Gehazi came near to thrust her away.
So right here, we picking up what it left off. Elisha sent his servant, not his servant, but his right-hand man. You can say his servant. That's what it is. Gehazi, he seen this sister running over, riding a horse in the distance, and he sent his servant, go meet her and find out what's going on. Ask her everything well. Gehazi meets the sister, and he asked her, is everything well? She said, everything is well. It's good. Then as she gets closer and she gets to Elisha, she full out just bears it all. She's trying to grab the fringes of Elisha's garment because now she wants to plead to the prophet. And of course, this puts you in the spirit of how the UPK is in the Bible. Like the brothers in the scriptures is on earth now. Gehazi is seeing this broad trying to go reach for Elisha, and he pushes the broad away. You know what I'm saying? The brother not thinking about, what you coming with. He on Shamar. You understand? It's like if somebody try to run up on any of the generals while I'm there, I'm pushing you. You know what I'm saying? Man, woman, and child. Until I get the order, stand down, man. That was too rough. What's the matter, sir? No sweat, sir. That's no sweat. But that's our job. You understand? So for those of you, because I know I had a couple people that asked me at the past when I was a little upset that they couldn't get access to Commanding General YAHANNA that they wanted. I was like, well, you gotta understand, we don't, I don't know who you are. Even if I know who you are, I don't have to, my job is not to assess your intentions. Right. My job is just to make sure this brother's protected. Right. You understand? To Christians, that may seem foreign. It's like, well, if he's a man of God, why he needs security? God wants to protect him. God is protecting him through other men of God. Right. You understand? So that's how that works. I just want to highlight that because the Bible, the UPK brings the Bible to life. You understand? Everything that we do in here, you read about in here. And so right here, so finally, she's talking to Elisha and she's telling him what's going on. And she's going to pour out all her vexations that she has regarding the death of her child. Keep reading.
And the man of God said, let her alone, for her soul is vexed within her. And the Lord have hid it from me and have not told me. Verse 28. Then she said, that I desire a son of my Lord. Did I not say, do not deceive me? Then he said to Gehazi, gird up thy loins, and take my staff in thine hand, and go thy way. If thou meet any man, salute him not. And if any salute thee, answer him not again. And lay my staff upon the face of the child.
Once again, the UPK brings the Bible to life. How many of us, we trying to get to, I'm trying to get to one end of the Passover to go get something done. And it take me about 15 minutes to go get something done because the whole time in the Passover, you looking good, soldiers. You looking good. I felt bad the brothers that was walking with me because they probably like, God damn it. Like, yeah, we just going right there. But that's just who we are. You know, that's why Elisha's telling him he knows our people. Listen, man, when man salute you, don't salute him. Go straight here because it'll turn into you're not going to make it to where you're trying to get to in the time you're trying to get there. You understand? And the salute is just what we do. The salute. Like, this is all biblical, the culture in the UPK. You understand? Like, this is not, we didn't come and say, let's make up something new. Let's do this. Let's put on purple and let's say shalom. And we didn't do nothing new in here. You understand? What you see other groups do is something new. It's not the ancient culture the Lord has given us. If it was the ancient culture, they would have stayed in the truth. But they wanted to do something new and different. You understand? It's new for Israelite to say that you can take children as wives. That's new. You understand? According to our culture, it's new. Go ahead.
If I could, it's also new to try and shut down the Lord's Passover.
That's new too.
And trying to pretend like they someone who they ain't and trying to get it shut down.
I see why they want to shut it down. It's like you're right. And I see why they wanted to shut it down. Satan wanted that joint shut it down because that was a glorious event. Regardless of what you was going through and what the demons you was battling, look at it in the grand scheme of things. That was a glorious event. Think of it, what our children seen that day. But that's why I don't care about, I love y'all, but I don't care about y'all. You know what I'm saying? I think about the kids because 20 years can pass and we're going to be old and dry and they the ones that's going to take the torch.
Right.
I'm thinking about the impact this is having on our children. Like, our kids are coming up in an environment where they can run free with other Black, Hispanic, and Native American kids with no worries in righteous culture. They see strong masculine men. Damn right. You're the most high now. You understand? Strong masculine men, strong feminine sisters, because being feminine is hard for a sister to do in the world. You understand? Hell, I'm seeing sisters, they sharing the same man. I seen a sister playing, many sisters playing with the kids of her kids and her husband's other kids with the other woman.
Right.
Where in the world, you hear about other women abusing the husband's other kids.
Right.
But we ain't see that in the UPK. You see nothing but love and true family brotherhood, man. That's going to make an impact on these kids. Just watch. They're going to be better than us.
Right.
They're not going to have the issues and dysfunction that we had. It's not going to be hard for them to love the right way. You understand? Because it's going to be normal. It's going to be healthy. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it, man. Go ahead, slap it, brother. Go ahead.
One of my highlights of the Passover was on Sunday. We had just finished, everybody just finished praying, and I was walking towards the front to put some more brick in, and I heard a shalom, and I looked down, and there's a little tiny warrior, and he was like, shalom, and I shalom him up, and I was like, yeah. That was a highlight for me.
Listen, brother, you look at them young kids, man. They full of zeal. Like the Lord He knows what He's doing. You understand? He knows exactly what He's doing. I'm seeing them kids. They got more zeal than a lot of us. You understand? Them little kids, shalom, like you said, hitting your leg, and they want to salute you. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Shalom, man, shalom. You understand? The little sisters knowing the salute and everything. You understand? Like, this is a glorious thing. You understand? And just watch. As this grows, the culture is going to shift. And you're going to see, as America falls, our people are going to rise up. Because if we keep this going, there's no way that we can't build as a people. We're building up strong children. And strong children make a strong nation. Go ahead, McCoy.
So just when you're saying that, it just reminded me of these two young brothers that were serving at the Passover. It was just going above and beyond the whole time. They were there. I never seen them sit down. They were going from point A to point B, serving everybody in the school.
Right.
If anybody was there, y'all know exactly who these two young brothers I'm talking about. And that's just like what you're saying. They're going to be the ones that are going to be taking over the school.
Exactly. This is what we're doing it for. Because if Christ is not back by then, we have to entrust that they carry on the reins. And so that when we die, when we come back, we are coming back into a family that we established at this point. Imagine if you got kids in here. Just know you prepared the place for you to come back. You want to raise your kids half-ass and not let them observe our customs. Don't be surprised you come back to a family where your mother's still a crackhead. Or you come back to a family where you still dealing with child molestation or the woes of the world. Or you can make sure to raise this child up right. And if you have to come back into this family, you're coming back to a family that all you know is the white man is a devil.
Right.
All you know is Christ is black. Like you ask these kids, when did you learn Christ was black? What? I've always known that. Right. So ask Captain Oriah. He grew up in the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's things that he's never done.
Right.
He just doesn't know. Like, what are you talking about?
Christ.
Yeah, pork. I don't know what that tastes like. I heard it was good. It had to be good if y'all eating that disgusting garbage, but I've never tasted it. Like, we raising up an entire new generation. You understand? And it's so glorious. It gives me joy because this is who I do it for. I don't know about y'all. I do it so that the next generation will never feel some of the pain and struggles that we felt. You understand? And that over time, it gets better and better and better while the world gets worse and worse and worse. And this moves to the point when it surpasses and Christ is going to come and destroy this place. Christ is going to say, all right, they ready. They ready now for me to just completely eradicate this garbage and now establish this kingdom. That's what we do. We building Christ's kingdom. It's like, it won't long with it, but that's one thing I love about this right here. You know what I'm saying? This is what we're doing it for. It's like, bro. Oh, for sure.
Verse 30. And the mother of the child said, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And he arose and followed her. And Gehazi passed on before them and laid the staff upon the face of the child. But there was neither voice nor hearing. Wherefore he went again to meet him and told him, saying, the child is not awake. Verse 32. And when Elisha was coming to the house, behold, the child was dead and laid upon his bed. He went, verse 33. He went in therefore and shut up the door upon them twain and prayed unto the Lord.
Most High Christ. Imagine, which means to stand. Young man Dwayne, present yourself.
Young man Dwayne, Ban Yahawada, Ban Yashala.
Young man Dwayne, Ban Yahawada, Ban Yashala.
Yahawah Shem Yahweh Shabbarakatham.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbarakatham.
Yeah, for sure.
Up here, Yeshabim, which means be seated. We're going to pick up where we left off. We are at 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 34. Let's see what we got. Verse 34. Waya'al. Wayashakal. Al. Hayalad. Wayasham. Payawa. Al. Payawa. Wa'ai. Yanayawa. Al. Ayanyawa. Wa Kapayawa. Al. Kapawa. Waya Gahar. Alyawa. Waya Come. But Bashar. Waya Lad. Verse 35. Waya Shah. Waya Lak. Baba Yath. Akath. Hanab. Wa Akath. Hanab. Waya Ab. Waya Gahar. Alyawa. Waya Zorab. Waya Zawara. Hanaira. I. Shabai. Pa'anyam. YAHPK, Hanaira, Af, Ayanyawa, verse 36. YAHQUARA, Al, Gaya Kazaya, YAHAMAR, Quara, Al, Hashanamyath, it's like it. Hashanamyatha, Haza'ah, YAHQUARA, Wathaba, it's like it. Wathaba, Bawa'a, Alyawa, YAHAMAR, Sha'aya, Banaka, verse 37. Wathaba'a, Wathapa'a, Al, Regalia, Wathashafkawa, Arataza, Wathasha'a, Af, Bana, Wathataza'a, verse 38. Wa'alayasha, Shah, Hagalgala, Wahara'ai, Ba'aratza, Wabanaya, Hanabaya, Hanabaya Ayam, Yeshabiam, Lapanyawa, YAHAMAR, Lana Irawa, Shapath, Hasayar, Hagadawala, Washabal, Nazayad, Labunya, Hanabaya Ayam, verse 39, Wayatza'a, Akad, Al, Hashada, Lalakota, Arath, Wayamataza'a, Gayan, it's like Gapan, Shada, Wayalakwat, Mama Nawa, Lakwa'ai, Shada, Mala'a, Bagadawa, Wayaba'awa, it's like Wayaba'a, Wayapalak, Al, Sayar, Hanazayad, Kaya, La'a, Yedaiwa, verse 40. Wayatazakuwa, La'a Nashayim, La'a Kawal, Wayahaya, Ka'akalam, Mahanazayad, Wahama, Tazaikwawa, YAHAMAR, Mawath, Basayar, Ayash, Ha'alahayim, Wala'a, Yakalawa, La'akayakala. That's it. Most High in Christ. I'm going to read it in English. We at 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 34.
2 Kings, chapter 4, verse 34. And he went up and lay upon the child and put his mouth upon his mouth, and his eyes upon his eyes, and his hands upon his hands. And he stretched himself upon the child, and the flesh of the child waxed warm. Verse 35.
Start right here. Christians, do not do this. If you read this, do not go out there thinking you healing some child. You're not healing the child. You're a child molester. Don't do this. This is a man of the Lord who the Lord gave specific instructions to do this, and he did this right here. Don't use this scripture, and don't let no Christian use this scripture to justify them touching your child and laying their face on your child and laying their body on your child. That's not what when they do it, they don't have the power of the Lord, man. They are deviant. You understand? I say that because churches use this scripture to justify them touching children. They use this verse in particular and a couple other ones to justify them laying on children and all types of garbage. Listen, just come in here. If you going to church, just come in here, because I'm telling you, your child is not safe nowhere else. You understand? If you in somebody's church, you might want to really reconsider what you're doing. because eventually you're going to see that this place is the home of the truth, and the place that you are in is a place where they allow Satan to thrive. Right. You understand? And you can tell through their actions. Everybody knows it. Everybody by now knows the Christian church is the house of the hypocrites. Right. Everybody knows. It's common knowledge. But still, people still go to church for whatever reason. You understand? Because it lets you know Christianity is a drug. Yeah. The same way crack and heroin is a drug, and it's addictive. And if you go to church, you are a junkie. You're a goddamn junkie. And you being a junkie is going to cause your children to be violated, because some disgusting pastor is going to use this verse as he touches your child, and you're going to watch, and you're going to think it to be right. And then your child's going to grow up hating you and be damaged, and you're going to perpetuate the cycle. Christians do not do this. I repeat, do not do this. You are not authorized to even teach the scriptures, let alone think you can heal somebody. You understand? Put the Bible down. You don't understand what you're reading, and y'all using these holy records to justify your disgustingness. I'm tired of it, quite frankly. And the time is going to come where Christ is going to give real authority to these brothers in here. And you're going to see it's going to be a problem for you in just a second. It's going to be a real problem, because what you're doing is wrong. And the Lord sees it. And brothers that's come out from churches, we see it and we know it. And the Lord going to start putting y'all cats to death like he did Eddie Long. You understand? You're going to start seeing the church really be exposed more and more. You're going to hear about all the disgusting things that go on in these churches. There's going to be more and more and worse things, more church shootings, more pastors getting indicted for fraud. We're going to see just all the skirt of the church is going to be lifted, because the Lord wants his people to come out of them whorehouses, man. You have so much faith in these pastors when you don't even see that these pastors are the reason why the black community is destroyed. That's why. The church is the reason why the black community is utterly in shambles. Nobody wants to accept that fact, but that's just what it is. You understand? Just keep reading, Bubba Shaw.
Verse 35. Then he returned and walked in the house to and fro, and went up and stretched himself upon him. And the child sneezed 7 times. And the child opened his eyes. Verse 36. And he called Gehazi and said, call this Shunammite. So he called her. And when she was come in unto him, he said, take up thy son. Verse 37. Then she went in and fell at his feet and bowed herself to the ground and took up her son and went out. Verse 38. And Elisha came again into Gilgal, and there was a dark in the land, and the sons of the prophets were sitting before him. And he said unto his servant, set on the great pot and seek pottage for the sons of the prophets. Verse 39. And one went out into the field to gather herbs, and found a wild vine, and gathered thereof wild gourds, his lap full, and came and shred them into the pot of pottage, for they knew them not. Verse 4. And they poured out and they poured out for the men to eat. And it came to pass, as they were eating of the pottage, that they cried out and said, oh, thou man of God, there is a death in the pot, and they could not eat thereof.
So what's going on right here is, when it says there was dearth in the earth, dearth means a scarcity, meaning like it's famine, it's a lack of something. And so right now there's like a famine going on. So this prophet Elisha, he's in Gilgal, you understand? And he's telling his servants what to do on the instructions. He was like, it's a scarcity, y'all lacking in this area. He's giving them instructions what to do. Take your biggest pot and take these ingredients and put it into the pot and make pottage, what we know today as soup or stew. If you grew up poor, you understand. And my rib asked me not too long ago, why do you put everything in one pot? I was like, because I grew up poor. And that's how we came up with it. You throw the rice, you throw everything in one pot because it stretches that way. You understand? And this is what we've always done. Elisha's telling them, take your biggest pot and put all the ingredients in this one pot and then serve it out to the men. And as the men is eating it, they saying, this is disgusting, man. You understand? That this is absolutely disgusting. We're going to read what Elisha says after that. Up here, imagine, which means to stand. Young man Casio, present yourself.
Young man Casio, Ban Yahawada, Ban Ban Yasharala.
Young man Casio, Ban Yahweh, Ban Yashala. So imagine first.
Yahweh Ba Hashem Yahweh Shah Barak Thumb.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah Barakatah. Up here, Yeshabim, which means be seated. We'll pick up where we left off. We are at 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 41. You get this because
Shalom Khan, verse 41. Wayamar, Wakokwawa, Kwamak, Wayashalak, Al, Hasayar, Wayamar, Tazak, La'an, Waya Akalwa, Wala'a, Haya, Dabar, Ra'ai, Basayar, Basayar, verse 42. Wa'ayash, Ba'a, Maba'al, Shalash, Wayaba'a, Al La'ash, Slakia, La'ayash, Ha'alahayim, Lakam, Baka, Warayim, Aisharayim, Lakam, Sha'ai Rayayim, Waka, Ramallah, Slakia, Wakwarama, Bataza, Kwalana, Slakia, Batazak, Lanawa, Wayamar, Thana, La'aim, Wayaak, Wayakawa, verse 43, Wayamar, Mashalath, Ma Sharathwa, Maha, Athan, Zaha, Lapanya, Ama, Ayash, Wayamar, Thana, La'aim, Wayakawa, Kaya, Kaha, Amar, Yahweh, Akal, Waha, Wathar, verse 42, Wayathan, Lapanyaham, Wayalakwa, Wayawatharwa, Kadabar, Yahweh. 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 1. Wana'ai Mana, Shar, Tazaba'a, Malak, Aram, Haya, Ayash, Ladawal, Lapanya, Adanyawa, Wanasha'a, Panayam, Kaya, Bawa, Nathan, Yahweh, Nasha, Wa'ai, La'aram, Waha, Ya'ash, Slakia, Waha, Ya'ash, Haya, Gabar, Slakia, Gabawar, Kaya, Matazara'ai, verse 2, Wa'aram, Yataza'awa, Gadawadayim, Wayashabwa, Ma Arataza, Yasha'ala, Na'ira, Kwatana, Watha, Haya, Lapanya, Ashath, Na'ai, Mana, verse 3, Wathamar, Al, Gabaratha, Akalia, Adanya, Lapanya, Hana Ba'aya, Hana Baya'a, Ashar, Basham Rawan, Azah, Ya'a Sapa, Athawa, Athwa, Mataza Ra'aythawa. That's it.
So shine twice. Good work. Now we're going to read it in the English. We at 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 41.
2 Kings chapter 4, verse 41. And he said, then bring meal. And he cast it into the pot. And he said, pour out for the people that they may eat. And there was no harm in the pot.
So right here, because all the herbs and everything that they got and put in the pot were unfamiliar to these brothers, they thinking like, man, these is poisonous herbs, man. This is not like, this is death. We're supposed to be eating this because they weren't familiar with what was going on. It's just like, you ever went over to a white person's house for the first time, and I remember the first time I had kale. I'm a Jew, like I ain't broke eating kale. I know about spinach and collard greens and mustard greens. The first time I had kale, I'm like, in my mind, because I don't know what it is, nah, this don't taste right. Is it supposed to taste like this? It's supposed to eat this, right? This is edible, right? Us as Israelites, we don't know something. It ain't right to us.
Right.
But nothing was wrong. That's why I just said it was no harm in the pot. It just was herbs and things that they didn't know about. And so he's saying, now feed this out to the people. You understand? Because it's a famine going on in this land. Good God. Keep reading.
Verse 42. And there came a man from Baal Shalisha and brought the man of God bread of the first fruits, 20 loaves of barley and 4 ears of corn in the husk thereof. And he said, give unto the people that they may eat. And his servitor said, what should I set this before 100 men? He said again, give the people that they may eat. For thus saith the Lord, they shall eat and shall leave thereof. So he set it before them, and they did eat and left thereof, according to the word of the Lord.
So even though it was a famine in this land, Elisha came and everybody was able to eat. You understand? Like that's how it happens with Christ did it multiple times. Even in the Bible, it tells you if the Bible were to list all of the miracles and the works that Christ did, it wouldn't be able to hold it. Like Christ did so much more behind the scenes that's not recorded that we don't know about. Mm-hmm. You understand? So Christ did it many times. Many prophets have always done this, where they fed the people. This is one of the basic, when they tell you you want to teach to the people, this is important to understand for brothers. When you go on to teach somebody, you want to get him to listen, you got to first meet that brother's basic need. Yeah, I'm listening to you talking about God and I'm hungry. My children are hungry. That's why the UPK has successful food drives all across the nation. You understand? Because we understand the importance of feeding the Lord's people. We understand the importance of clothing the Lord's people. You're going to be Christian. Christians see a homeless man and they're like, well, let me pray for you. You understand? With a pocket full of money. Well, I'm not going to give you nothing because I know you're going to use it to get high. But let me pray for you. You wicked bastard, man. You can keep that prayer, man. The Bible speaks against that in particular, too. It's a scripture that talks about that. Those that pray for a brother when he needs bread. You understand? People need to eat. And these men of the Lord understood that. They fed these people. That's why anytime a brother come in here, sister come in here, if it's food in here, we all going to eat. Right. Please believe that. We all going to eat. And if somebody has came in here and said otherwise, when there's food in here, you're a liar. Right. You're a liar. But since I've been in here, ever since there's food in here, we all eat. Now, if you don't eat, you probably chose not to eat. But this food here is available to everybody because we understand these scriptures. You understand? Keep reading.
2 Kings chapter 5, verse 1. Now, Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. And the Syrians had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife. She said unto her mistress, would God my Lord were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy.
So we read about right here that Syria, they took captive this sister out of Israel. And now this sister is the servant to the king's wife. And so this sister now, she's saying, she's an Israelite. She's a sister. So what she's doing now, so she's setting the stage for something. We're going to read it next week. But she's now saying, I know there's a prophet in Samaria. I know a prophet in Samaria that can heal your husband's leprosy. Because this king of Syria, he was a leper. You understand? He had this disease. And so this sister right here, she's like, well, I do know a prophet. He can cure this leprosy. You understand? So like it says.
I just was wanting to know what in verse 40, the last chapter in 43, when it says leave thereof, what does that mean, leave thereof?
Like to leave from among them. So like feed the people and tell them to go home.
Oh, okay.
Like, because this how it has always been. People always follow the prophets the same way they follow Christ. Like Christ will go. The Passover is a perfect example. I'm on Shamar for the generals. And in my head, I'm like, I wish people would stop coming up. Like, I wish y'all just sit down, no more pictures. That's me, because I'm on Shamar, of course. The general's like, bring them up. And I'm like, come on up. But everywhere the general goes, people want to go. You understand? That's why it was so much going on that they made an executive decision not for Commander General YAHANNA to come down and walk through, because there's just too much going on. But if he would have came down off the stage and walked through like he wanted to, everybody would have been right there in the crowd, walking where he going. It's always been like that. We've always cherished, not always, you understand? But the people that love the prophets have always loved the prophets. You understand? Which weren't a lot of people. That's why those of us in the UPK, we are the ones in the Bible that accepted Christ when he was on earth. Like the people that accept the truth now are the ones who accepted him when he was on the earth. The ones that hated him then were the ones who got healed, who came into the truth and learned about this knowledge and then left the truth talking smack. Those are the same ones. The ones that betrayed Christ, the ones who Christ healed in all their afflictions and then turned around and said, crucify him. That's those traitors. You understand? But us, we've always followed the prophets and we always wanted to go. And right here, they fed the people and he's like, all right, now y'all go. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all got to go home. It's like Commander General Muhammad made the decision, no more pictures. Y'all tell them to go home. Y'all dismissed from here. You understand? And that's what happened here in this verse, because they all were congregating and following Elisha. No sweat. With that, we're going to pick up next week where we left off. Up here only. Imagine, which means to stand. What's the order of question? The water.
YAHANNA.
Drink all of it. So you can pour out.
Men of Israel, gird up thy loins to prepare to salute the Torah.
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahusha Oh, slide.
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahusha
Turn around this way. Step forward, above the sharp.
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahusha Barak
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahusha Barak
Just like that.
Men of Israel, we're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat. Imajim Barak.
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahusha Barakatham.
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahusha Barakatham.
Yazmatam. Men of Israel, Sar. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters. Sisters, please stand. Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat. Imajim Barak.
Yahweh Shema Alatham Ba'ashem Yahusha.
Yazmatam. At this time, Wapan Yahak Wadam, which means turn and face to east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer first in Hebrew. Repeat after me. Abanau.
Abanau.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Kodash.
Kodash.
I.S.U.P.K.
I.S.U.P.K.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malak with Ka.
Malak with Ka.
Taba'ah. Ratazayaka.
Ratazayaka.
I.S.U.P.K.
I.S.U.P.K.
Ba'arataza.
Kawak.
Kawak.
I.S.U.P.K.
Bashamayim.
Bashamayim.
The
Thunder now. Lakam.
Ka.
Yawam.
Wasalaki now.
Wasalaki now.
Kabawaki now. Kasalaki now.
Kabawaki now.
Wala'a. Tabi'ai now. Banasaya 1. Awashai now. Mayan. Right. Kayak. Lakam. Amalakwa. Waha'ala. Watapara. La'alayamim. Aman.
And in the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth. As it is in heaven. So give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it.
We'll say, cut the power. Yahweh.
Ba'Shem.
Yahushai.
Babakashah. The thunder now.
Hakat.
Larpa'ah.
Kalmakalah. Wakamanawa. Hakat. Latahar. Hamatazarayim. Hakat.
Lahakim.
Hamathia.
Hakat.
Arakawa.
Tama'ala.
Lagarshan. Ba'Shem Yahushai. The water Aman.
And in the English, Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh. Please give us the power. The power to heal. All manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the leper. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name of Yahweh. Thank you. So be it.
We're going to say, bless Israel. Yahweh.
Ba'Shem.
Yahushai.
Baraklanau.
Wayasha'al. Wahabayah. Sapari. Barak. Magun. Ba'Shem Yahushai.
The water Aman.
And in the English, Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh. Bless us. And Israel. And the school. Bless. Heal. Shield. Protect. Our loved ones. In the name of Yahweh. Thank you. So be it.
We'll say Psalms 121. Asha'ah. Ayanya. Ahahari. Ma'ayan. Yaba'ah. Izari. Ma'ayin. Yahweh. I.S.U.P.K. Shemayim. Wa'arataza. Ayathan. Lamawat. Regalka. Ayanawam. Shamarka. Hana. La'ah. Yanawam. Wala'ah. Yayashan. Shalomar. Yasha'ala. Yahweh. Shamarka. Yahweh. Zazalka. Ayat. Yamyaka. Yawamam. Hashemash. La'ah. Yakalka. Wayarak. Balayala. Yahweh. Yashamarka. Makara. Yashamar. Athnapashka. Yahweh. Yashamar. Taza'atka. Wabawa'atka. Ma'aitha. Wa'awalam.
And in the English, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from Yahweh. Which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee. Will not slumber. Behold. He that keepeth Israel. Shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day. Nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee. From all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out. And thy coming in. From this time forth. And even forevermore. So be it.
We'll say Psalms 83. Alahayim.
Alahayim.
Al-Damaya Laka.
Al-Damaya Laka.
Al-Thakarash.
Al-Thakarash.
Al-Thashakwat.
Wa-al-Tashakwat.
Al-Kayahanna.
Kayahanna.
Al-Yabyaka.
Al-Yabyaka.
Yahamma Yawan.
Yahamma Yawan.
Wa-Mashanayaka.
Wa-Mashanayaka.
Nasha'awa.
Nasha'awa.
Ra'ash.
Ra'ash.
Al-Imaka.
Al-Imaka.
Ya'ariyamwa.
Ya'ariyamwa.
Sawad.
Sawad.
Wayata Ya'itazawa.
Wayata Ya'itazawa.
Al-Tazbawanyaka.
Al-Tazabawanyaka.
Amarwa.
Amaru.
Lakawa.
Lakawa.
Wanakakida.
Wanakakida.
Magalia.
Magalia.
Wala'ah.
Wala'ah.
Yasakar.
Yasakar.
Shum Yasha'al.
Shum Yasha'al.
Iwad.
Iwad.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Noah Aitazawa.
Noah Aitazawa.
La.
La.
Yakadwa.
Lakadwa.
Alyaka.
Alyaka.
Baryat.
Baryat.
Yakarathwa.
Yakarathwa.
Ahalia.
Ahalia.
Adawam.
Adawam.
Waya Shema'alim.
Wayashma'alia.
Mawa'aba.
Mawa'aba.
Wahagarian.
Wahagarian.
Gabal.
Gabal.
Wa'aimawan.
Wa'aimawan.
Wa'aimalak.
Wa'aimalak.
Palashak.
Palashak.
Amyashabia.
Amyashabia.
Tazawar.
Tazawar.
Gum Ashawar.
Gum Ashawar.
Nalawak.
Nalawak.
Aimam.
Aimam.
Hayawa.
Hayawa.
Zarawak.
Zarawak.
Labunya Lawak.
Labunya Lawak.
Salak.
Salak.
Aisha Laham.
Aisha Laham.
Kamajin.
Kamajin.
Kasaya Sara'ah.
Kasaya Sara'ah.
Kayabia.
Kayabia.
Banakal.
Banakal.
Koyashawan.
Koyashwan.
Nashamadwa.
Nashamadwa.
Ayanda Awa.
Ayanda Awa.
Hayawa.
Hayawa.
Daman.
Daman.
La Adamak.
La Adamak.
Shayatamwa.
Shayatamwa.
Nadiyamawa.
Nadiyamawa.
Ka'arab.
Ka'arab.
Kaza'aba.
Kaza'aba.
Wakaza'aba.
Wakaza'aba.
Wakaza'ba.
Wakaza'ba.
Wakaza'zamanai.
Wakaza'zamanai.
Kandasaya Kamwa.
Kandasaya Kamwa.
Ashar.
Ashar.
Amarwa.
Amar.
Nayara Salakia. Nayara At. Nayara Sha'at.
Nayara Shah.
Nayara Shah.
Nayara Shah.
Lanawa.
Lanawa.
Af.
Af.
Na'awa.
Na'awa.
Alahayam.
Alahayam.
Alahaya.
Alahaya.
Shayatamwa.
Shayatamwa.
Kagagala.
Kagagala.
Kakwash.
Kakwash.
Lapanyarakak.
Lapanyarakak.
Ka'ash.
Ka'ash.
Kapa'ira Ya'ira.
Ayra.
Wakala Haba.
Wakala Haba.
Kalahat.
Kalahat.
Haryam.
Haryam.
Khan.
Khan.
Theradatma.
Theradatma.
Basa'iraka.
Basa'iraka.
Wabasa Wapaka.
Wabasa Wapaka.
Bahalam.
Bahalam.
Mala'ah.
Mala'ah.
Panyaham.
Panyaham.
Kwalawan.
Kwalawan.
Wayabakwashua.
Wayabakwashua.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahawa.
Yahawa.
Yabashua.
Yabashua.
Wayaba'awa.
Wayaba'awa.
Aja'ai.
Aja'ai.
Wayakaparwa.
Wayakapawa.
Wayabadu.
Wayabadu.
Wayaba'aiwa.
Wayada'aiwa.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Atha.
Atha.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahawa.
Yahawa.
Baka.
Baka.
Ayawan.
Ayawan.
Al-Kaha Rataza.
Al-Kaha Rataza.
Wada Aman.
The Wada Aman.
And in the English, keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still.
And be not still.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
For lo,
thine
enemies make a tumble.
Thine enemies make a tumble.
And they that hate thee.
And they that hate thee.
Have lifted up the head.
Have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel.
They have taken crafty counsel.
Against thy people.
Against thy people.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said.
They have said.
Come. And let us cut them off.
And let us cut them off.
From being a nation.
From being a nation.
That the name of Israel.
That the name of Israel.
May be no more remembered.
May be no more remembrance.
For they have consulted together.
For they have consulted together.
With one consent.
With one consent.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee.
The tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites.
Of Moab.
Of Moab.
And the Hagarene.
And the Hagarene.
The Baal and Ammon.
The Baal and Ammon.
And Amalek.
And Amalek.
The Philistines.
The Philistines.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
Asa also is joined with them.
Asa also is joined with them.
They have opened the children of Lot.
They have opened the children of Lot.
Salah. Do unto them.
Do unto them.
As unto the Midianites.
As unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabez.
As to Jabez.
At the brook of Kishon.
At the brook of Kishon.
Which perished at Endor.
Which perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like Oreb.
Make their nobles like Oreb.
And like Seir.
And like Seir.
Yea.
Yea.
All their princes.
All their princes.
As Sabbath.
As Sabbath.
And as Zemor.
And as
Zalmunna,
who said, let us take to ourselves
let us say to ourselves,
the houses of Yahweh in possession.
the houses of Yahweh in possession.
Oh my power,
Oh my power,
make them like a wheel,
make them like a wheel,
as the stubble before the wind,
as the stubble before the wind,
as the fire burneth the wood,
as the fire burneth the wood,
and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
and as the flames set the mountains on fire.
So persecute them
So persecute them
with thy tempest,
with thy tempest,
and make them afraid
and make them afraid
with thy storm.
with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame,
Fill their faces with shame,
that they may seek thy
that
name.
they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh,
O Yahweh,
let them be confounded
let them be confounded
and troubled forever.
and troubled forever.
Yea,
Yea,
let them be put to shame
let them be put to shame
and
and
perish,
purged,
that men may know
that men may know
that thou,
that thou,
whose name alone
whose name alone
is Yahweh,
is Yahweh,
art the most high
art the most high
over all the earth.
over all the earth.
So be it.
So be it.
We're going to say the blessings. Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
What Yahweh Shai.
What Yahweh Shai.
What Mayaka Allah.
What Mayaka Allah.
What Alahayim.
What Alahayim.
Mataza Biyah.
Mataza Biyah.
Alawak Yahanna.
Alawak Yahanna.
Ha Alawapia.
Ha Alawapia.
Ha Saranyam.
Ha Saranyam.
Ha Quatas Yamyam.
Ha Quatas Yamyam.
Ha Quaya Yamyam.
Ha Quaya Yamyam.
What Ha Quathia.
What Quathia.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem.
Ba'ashem.
Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh Shai.
What Aman.
What Aman.
And in the English. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Michael.
And Michael.
And the angel.
And the angel.
Commanding General Yahanna.
Commanding General Yahanna.
The general.
The generals.
The captain.
The captains.
The officers.
The officers.
The troopers.
The troopers.
And the sisters.
And the sisters.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
We're going to do the curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh.
Blessed are you, Yahweh.
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and earth.
And all things living.
And all things living.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Listen to us now.
Listen to us now.
Right now.
Right now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
That speak against
That
us.
speak against us.
Thy prophets.
Thy prophets.
The teachers.
The teachers.
The princes.
The princes.
The priests.
The priests.
The Israelite brothers.
The Israelite brothers.
And the school.
And the school.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
And shake loose the treasure.
And shake loose the treasures
Of the rich of Israel.
of the rich of Israel.
That refuse to give to the school.
That refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches.
Force their riches.
To enter into thy sanctuary.
To enter into thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the Edomites.
To the Edomites.
And the nation.
And the nation.
And their drug dealers.
And their drug dealers.
The court system.
The court system.
The prison
The
system.
prison system.
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood.
All the governments of our enemies.
All the governments of our enemies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Roman Catholic Church.
The Roman Catholic Church.
The Pope.
The Pope.
Islam. Christianity. Egyptology.
Egyptology.
Militia. Ku Klux Klan.
Ku Klux Klan.
Aryan Nation.
Aryan Nation.
Skinheads. Posse Comitatus.
Posse Comitatus.
The gay movement.
The gay movement.
The lesbian
The
movement.
lesbian movement.
Spies. Workers of witchcraft.
Workers of witchcraft.
NASA space program.
NASA space program.
Army.
Navy.
Air Force.
Air Force.
Marines. Wall Street. Open up the internet.
Open up the internet.
And the airways.
And the airways.
The cable access channel.
Cable access channel.
And the radio channel.
And the radio channel.
Convict the spirit.
Convict the spirit
Of any of thy people.
of any of thy people
That seek to stop
that
us.
seek to stop us
And bring swift destruction.
and bring swift destruction
To all the heathen.
to all the heathen
That stand in the way.
that stand in the way
Or try to stop
or
us.
try to stop us
From broadcasting your word.
from broadcasting your words
Throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues.
Let loose all the plagues.
Cause them to go to and fro.
Cause them to go to and fro
Through the earth.
through the earth
And consume them.
and consume them.
Let the plague.
Let the plague
Shake the house of the thief.
shake the house of the thief
And the murderer.
and the murderer.
Let Yahweh shine.
Let Yahweh shine.
Michael and Gabriel.
Michael and Gabriel
Come down with the flying saucer.
come down with the flying saucer
And punish all the
and
heathen.
punish all the heathen
That come up against us.
that come up against us
As we speak thy word.
as we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known.
Cause it to be known
By all.
by all
That it is the angels that have done it.
that it is the angels that have done it.
Cause it to be spread.
Cause it to be spread
Through the media.
through the media
Throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
In the name of Yahweh
In
Shai.
the name of Yahweh Shai.
Thank you always.
Thank you always.
So be it.
So be it.
With that, class is dismissed. If anybody would like to get anointed, well, step forward. It's not